Hi, good morning, everybody. This is Kate Kayaian. I am the Artistic Director of the Virtual Summer Cello Festival, and I'm here this morning with Inbal Segev, one of our wonderful faculty members. And so, good morning, Inbal. Thank you for being here.
Good morning.
So I'm really excited to talk to Inbal today about the whole idea of online teaching. She has been rocking YouTube with her channel and her musings with Inbal for the past 3 years, putting up videos that sort of tackle one piece at a time, a section of a piece, and I've loved watching them over the years, and it's how I've gotten to know Inbal. Is through her YouTube channel. So thank you for being here. I have a whole bunch of questions for you. I want to know all of the things. So I thought we'd dig in with, you've been doing that for 3 years, and you've also been teaching online for quite a while. Isn't that right?
Yes, just my musings, my kind of master classes, not one-on-one so much. Yes.
Yeah. So having done that, how did you find this transition when COVID-19 hit and in-person lessons had to shut down and everybody suddenly overnight had to go onto Zoom and Skype and FaceTime lessons? How did you find that?
So I'm a performer. So for me, it was a good opportunity to kind of take stock and see that all I've done so far in terms of just kind of putting things out there really has a great purpose right now. And I've gotten a lot of emails from all over the world, especially since the COVID. Just people thanking me and questions, and it's a real community of really thousands of students. And so I have a few students here and there that I teach just privately, but I think this is really my vocation. And of course I perform, so it doesn't leave a lot of time to do one-on-ones. And right. I have 3 children too.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. What have you found that what's your favorite thing about online teaching?
I really like reaching out to people who would otherwise not have the means to study with me or come to America, or being exposed to certain things that I was lucky to have passed on to me. So my teacher, Bernard Greenhouse, studied with Pablo Casals, for example. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I'm a chain in the link, and it's really important to be that link, as you know.
It's so great, isn't it, to suddenly be working with students from all over the world without the travel, and they have access to you have access to them, and it, as you say, that community just expands so wonderfully and beautifully. So what's your tech setup? I know everybody's comparing microphones and speakers, and what have you found that's been working for you?
So I have a great videographer. I'm pretty tech challenged. I just figured I cannot do everything by myself. I'm outsourcing. Doing my hair by myself these days is a challenge enough. We just moved out of town for a few weeks. We were in Manhattan for 2 months, and it was just getting to be too much. So yesterday I had my videographer come see me for the first time. And that was really nice. We actually shot a vlog about Shostakovich. So we did some videos, and we kept our distance, but it was really, really great to see a living person besides my family, as much as I love my family. So the setup is he has a microphone. Microphones. Is very good with lighting. Right now, I'm just talking to you on my iPhone. I have a DPA mic, which I'm thinking to really get something that's meant to record me professionally. Mm-hmm. We need it right now.
Yeah.
I haven't done it yet. How about you?
I use the AKG Lyra, which I really like. That's what all of the participants are getting from the festival, by the way. They're really snazzy. And I use some Bose speakers, some portable speakers to hear better, which is they're pretty simple, inexpensive, but it helps me just sort of override my laptop's input and output. So I find it really helpful. And with the USB mic, because I can sit further back, so I'm away from the screen so that they can see my whole cello when I'm teaching, but it still picks up the sound. So yeah, no, I find that that works really well.
Do you use Skype or for the lesson? Skype is better than Zoom, right?
For me, I use Zoom with the right settings, with original sound. Yeah, I find I have more luck. Also, in terms of when I'm teaching back-to-back lessons, it's easier for them with Zoom because they can go into a waiting room, and then I can just either I can let them in to the previous student's lesson and they can watch and observe, which is always really nice, or I just finish up with one and the next one's there. Whereas with Skype, you have to stop and then call the next person, and then, I mean, every platform has its advantages and disadvantages, but yeah, that's what I've been using. And then it's fascinating to me to see the the progress that's being made. And I know a lot of companies are trying to work out the sound issues for musicians. So I'm really excited to see, I think even in the next couple months, we might have, brand new things to work with. So
yes, it's also a steep learning curve for all of us. We really have to be our own producers now, but yeah,
it's true. Exactly. Great. So speaking of moving outside of the city and being in Manhattan with your family, how have you been using this time? I mean, I know you perform a ton, and with concerts being kind of taken off of the stage, how are you using your time? Are you digging into some new projects? Are you just having catching up on some quiet time with your family? Yeah, what have you?
I'm doing all. So for the first month, I was hibernating, and now I'm actually thinking of the new project, which I'm not going to talk about quite yet. It's only in diapers. But my biggest project that I've done in September was I recorded a new concerto that was written for me by Anna Klein. And we are releasing the CD with the Elgar Concerto in a couple of weeks, June 5th. So that's really a huge thing for me. It's with Marin Alsop, which I really wanted to work with for a long time, and I'm very excited about this release. And meanwhile, I've been thinking of new commissions because this is what really is how I feel I can contribute to the world besides teaching. And I started learning a language, and I went through some Shostakovich string quartets, just studying them, and pretty much. I prepared a whole vlog about Shostakovich, which I shot yesterday. That was a big project.
Is that about him as a composer or a specific piece?
The Cello Concerto No. 1.
Oh, great. Excellent. Excellent. And can you tell us a little bit about Anne Klein's concerto? What's it like? How was it working with her? Did she write it for you? Were you part of the process of writing it, or how did that work?
So Marin Alsop introduced me to Anna, and I was really fell in love with her music. It's very lyrical, and still it has a very modern sensibility. And so I was excited to work with her. She never wrote a cello concerto, and she liked my playing, so it was a good match. And then she sent me a few passages. Definitely, there were a few weeks that it was pretty labor intensive. And I gave her my suggestions. Some she took, some she didn't. But I really appreciate the trust, because you don't always get that. I work with composers, and sometimes they just give me a finished piece, and that's totally fine. Everybody has their own way of working, but that was really great.
Wonderful. I love it. Is it in a traditional 3 movements? How is it? Is it through composed?
No, it's in 5 movements. They're each about 5 minutes long, 4 minutes long. And it's based on a poem by Rumi called Dance. So each movement really reflects a different mood. A dance when your bandages are off. A dance as if I can't remember the exact titles right now, but you had a fight and you're, made up, and so forth. So it's, Rumi is a wonderful poet. It's very evocative of the moods
Oh, yeah.
of that poem.
Absolutely. Oh, I can't wait to hear it. So where can we find it? June 5th it drops, right? And
Yeah.
where can we find it?
Amazon would be Spotify, of course, and actually 3 of the tracks are already released on Spotify, and we had 30,000 listeners already heard it.
Wonderful.
Really liked it. So, I'm very excited.
I'm going to check it out today. Excellent. So, I mean, as cellists, we love, it's very exciting to have a new concerto out there. So this is great news. Wonderful.
Thank you.
So you've been busy. You've been doing lots of things, learning languages and preparing for this. Anything completely random that you've found yourself doing that you can share with our audience today?
Let's see. I've been cooking up a storm. It's not random. I have 3 kids, so really cooking too much.
Oh.
Uh,
Yep, to cook. That's
I don't know, random. I'm just kind of addicted to Duolingo right now. It's annoying my family with a ding every 2 minutes. I don't know if you know this app. Um,
what language are you learning?
German.
Wow, impressive.
Yeah, it's important for us musicians. I always wanted to understand a little better, the language of the great composers.
Absolutely. No, that's great. All right, maybe you can teach us some German this summer.
9.
That's
I'm not there yet.
So speaking of the festival, did you go to any summer festivals when you were growing up?
Yes, some of my best memories from my youth are from summer festivals. As I'm sure a lot of musicians would agree, it was just a magical time. You get to meet people your age that are as into the world of music, devoted, and you don't. I went to though I went to an art school for middle school, I didn't. You know, the level just in the summer festival just is so high, and so yeah, I went in Israel. I grew up in Israel, so we had a summer festival that was kind of started by Isaac Stern, and that was in Jerusalem sometimes, and sometimes in the north, in magical places. And that was the first time I'd slept away from home. And then when I was older, I went here in the States to the Ravinia Festival, which is wonderful, the Spins Institute. Um, I did. That was really the one that left the biggest impression on me. I really love that.
Yeah, Ravinia is a magical place. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think are the key components of the festival? I mean, especially going into a summer where we're not sleeping away from home for the first time. What are the benefits of festivals that we can still get even online?
You can meet even virtually and hear other artists, and that's really inspiring. I mean, I can't, there's no other word, and I used to stay away from cliches like this, but it's really is hearing your peers play and seeing people who are your age or around your age, and just getting ideas from, I went to Yale School of Music and to Juilliard, and one of the greatest things is to hear your colleagues, and you learn so much from them.
Yeah.
Your teachers too, of course, but
We try. Yes, but it's true. And those peers that I'm sure the same is true for you, but the people that I went to summer festivals with are still my dearest friends and colleagues, and we get together and we support each other. And there is that bond of having gone through that summer festival experience together. So that's always exciting. And where do you think things are going with post COVID-19? Do you think things are going to go back to normal for the music world? Do you think things are going to change in any way? I mean, I know that nobody can really tell the future, but what are your thoughts?
People, I had some conversations. Some of us think that it might come back like halfway, and maybe, there will be more online, interesting ways of bringing music online. But I think that there's no substitute for in-person concerts there, and it will come back. I really do hope so. Some institutions will go away, just the nature of things, but the strong ones will remain, and we'll always continue making music, of course.
Absolutely. We've been through tough things before. And as far as schools go, do you think that there are things that the kids graduating, the students, they're not kids anymore when they're graduating, but the students who are graduating from music schools and conservatories, do you think that there's anything missing in their education, especially facing a big change like we're seeing today? Is there anything that we can be teaching them moving forward that could better prepare them for a career in music?
Yeah, it's a good question. I always feel like the being a cellist is a one-woman business. It's a small business. An owner of a small business. I'm lucky because my husband is helping me with the logistics, but I'm just naturally not very good with business. So, if somebody is good, that's great. But if they're not, they always have to find somebody to help them out, a partner of some sort. You have to fundraise. You have to be your own producer. You have to. I just now had to have a lawyer for the first time because somebody was using my video to sell something without asking me. So
Right.
you you have to be on top of all that, and of course carve your own way. And that's the hardest thing, to know who you are, what makes you happy, and that's hard. I don't know that you can teach that. Um, so, but there must be some. My husband is a businessman, and he works in finance, and he talks. So we always talk about how you really need a real business class in music schools. Not just about putting your resume together, but more than that. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. And what you said about carving your own path, I think it's so important. I think a lot of students go to conservatory and it's sort of like you will be a soloist or you will be in an orchestra or you will be in a string quartet. And those are the choices for a cellist. And, I think the more we can present students with actually what those lives really entail, right? So working, getting to know an orchestral player and hearing, because maybe you hear all those things and you say, that is the life for me. That's what I want. That's amazing. And likewise with a soloist or in a string quartet. And of course, there are all these other options too. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity as the world expands and as people have more opportunities to create their own path. I think there are more paths available, maybe, which is really fun
Yeah,
for us as teachers to help guide them towards those.
I hope so. I just there was an article in the Times today about universities um, uh, kind of moving, even moving more online, and I think that's something we can also do with teaching, and maybe it will be good to reach people who would otherwise not be able to study with us.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. Yeah. So what's been the best advice that you've been given in your career? Would anybody tell you something as a student that has proven to be really true?
Um, it's a good question. I had a lot of advice when I was younger, but I wasn't ready to hear it. I was told very few make it. It's really hard life. Uh, you know, you have no money. Uh, so I just didn't want to hear it. I was all about music, and it's okay. Sometimes you're not ready to take advice until 20 years later. And then you're like, oh, yeah. So I don't wish I took the advice and stayed away, because it is very, very hard. But I always loved it. And there was nothing else I wanted to do. And if somebody is not sure they want to do it, then there's a discussion. Then maybe they shouldn't do it, because it really does take a lot of sacrifice. I mean, I left home when I was 16. I came to America alone.
Wow.
I lived, I was pretty poor for a long time. Now I'm married, so that helps a lot. But, if I wasn't married and I wasn't able to support myself as a soloist, very few people can do it. I would probably play in an orchestra, and that's totally fine. It can be a very satisfying life. I tried it. It didn't quite work for me. And so, I'm very, very lucky I can do what I choose to do. But I realize not everybody can. So,
And not everybody wants to, and
right.
that's fine. That's fine.
Absolutely.
And what advice would you give beyond that to a student today?
I think that, just always questioning what is the best music for you? What makes you want to play? And making friends in school is important, because those are really the connections, as you said, that will stay with you for life. I can't say I was always super good at that. I'm an introvert, so I like to practice and be alone, and I think I regret some of that. But everything works out.
Everything works out. It's true.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the advice. Don't worry, everything works out. No, but that's great. And one last question. We're so excited to have you teaching and doing master classes with us for the virtual Summer Cello Festival this year. What are you most looking forward to as far as being part of the festival?
I can't wait to hear the students and also meet some of the faculty who I've admired for a long time. So I know Colin Carr, he's such a wonderful player and a
Mm-hmm.
musician. Um, Johannes Moser is a wonderful young cellist that I've been following for a while. So I'm really excited to be with them. And kudos to you for really engaging those wonderful top artists.
Oh,
Uh,
it's so fun. It's been so fun. I think we need to kick it off with a faculty Zoom meeting. That'll be great. Well, the students are certainly looking forward to working with you and meeting you as well. And we're just so thrilled to have you with us. And good luck. I guess before we see you at the festival, we'll all be able to hear your new release, the Elgar Cello Concerto, and Anna Klein. Did I get it right? Anna Klein Concerto with the London Philharmonic and Marin Alsop. Congratulations on that. That's
Thank
really
you.
wonderful. Excellent. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Kate. All right. Bye.
Bye.